D. Welcome to the Cafe Nightly Show. I'm your host, Goldsmith. It is the 13th of June, 2024. It happens to be a Thursday. We're headed into the middle of the month. We're out of Genesis Week, but it is far enough removed from Genesis Week that we are starting to be able to look at other people's reflections, and sometimes that helps inform the way I see things. To see that I wasn't the only person at G Week 2024. Go figure. And there's some great stuff coming out. We've seen a little mini movie. I'm going to call it a mini movie from Alan C, because there's a maxi movie, a very large movie from the one and only More Cheese. And you see these hours of content, and you realize in doing so how much there is going on at any given moment. And you see different perspectives from different people at different times, and in some cases at the same time, different views or different appreciations of the same time, same moments. And you realize how much is going on there. So I'm going to give you a pitch to go to Genesis Week 2025 right now. And I will do that in the show. So that's part of what we can go over today. It's in a day that there isn't any direct news on the team of Upland, on the side of Upland for today. But there was a couple small hints along the way, I think, that are worth starting to peek at and keeping our eyes on. As a reminder, we do have Bermuda launch tomorrow. We did this before. The Bermuda collection reveal is tomorrow. So some reminders on being ready for a collection reveal when we go from a vanilla to a revealed collection. Hey, Jimmy, good to see you. And what to be prepared for. And then finally, as people have brought up, as I brought up a couple times, and definitely worth continuing to bring up, we do have to worry about what's next. And we know that Paris is coming up in the near future. And then you can kind of see what some people are describing as a Paris effect or a potential Paris effect when we look at Bermuda and how people are treating that market already. So we'll get into all of that and get ready for tomorrow and get ready for theoretically next week. Of course, right up front, all views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone. Should we take as game strategy or financial advice that represent the game of the team of Upland? Any contributors we do have on, they are welcome to their own opinions. They shouldn't take as game strategy or financial advice that represent myself, the Goldsmith, the Cafe Nightly Show, the game of Upland, or the team of Upland. With that out of the way, let's take a look at what we can take a look at. I'm going to do it because I can. Because I want to, and because it makes me happy. All right, get this right here. Come over here. Click on this in a book and slide over here. I'm almost there. I almost found it. I found it. And here it is. It's lovely. I'm going to share screen over here so we can all look at loveliness together. Why, there it is. Wow. Isn't it lovely? Isn't it lovely? And together we're going to watch 7 hours of G Week covered. No, we're not. We don't have the time. But I hope you do. Hour at a time, 20 minutes at a time, 40 minutes at a time, whatever you could do. One person's perspective, actually a multitude of people's perspectives here. G Week 2024. I'm looking at More Cheese's video from, again, the culmination of 12 plus hours of recorded video footage, removing all the things where, maybe it's not the most exciting part of Genesis Week, or maybe somebody said something they shouldn't have said, Goldie. And kind of titrating that down into 7 tight hours when there really was a lot more than that day. There was hours that may have been a little bit of take a nap snooze fest. So those take a nap snooze fest, get rid of those, but focus on the exciting parts. And apparently there's 7 hours of exciting parts in a single day. That's Friday of Genesis Week. That's last week. And one day we can have 7 hours of footage that is worth broadcasting, that's worth watching, that's worth reviewing. And I think that is a big statement for Genesis Week this year, what it had to offer and what people enjoyed. So last Friday the 7th of June, 7 hours of footage worth sharing. I absolutely think is the case. So if you have a chance, go and take a look at that. Like I said, Alan C put out a much shorter video. Relix had put out one that was a stream for a couple hours worth of content from the Thursday night that was continuous content. Had to put out other content, but not the entire event, not continuously throughout, but in snippets, in bunches throughout the events on Thursday and Friday. So definitely worth taking a look at these. It's always fun to see. And we get rid of that. It's always fun to see other people's perspective, what they had seen, what they had been part of, what was going on for them during Genesis week. And seeing these multitudes of perspectives continues to give you an eye on what is going on in the game of Upland that you may not have noticed. Were you taking a nap during the middle of a presentation and you missed this piece, and now you can watch it a second time? And I'm going to put out the point that has been made by many other people, in that it would have been nice. People still feel that way, and I'll explain what I know about it. But it would have been nice if Upland had essentially broadcast and recorded every single speaker, because every single speaker, when we're talking about stage, they have something important to say, and it's nice to be able to review and watch it again. And thanks to More Cheese, a lot of those speakers are recorded in a way that you can watch them and see what's going on and get a better view and a better feel for what's going on in Upland 2024, what happened in Genesis week. And otherwise, it's all lost. It's all lost to the ether. And Jimmy Jester says, I'm watching More Cheese's video, as you said, bits and time, and it's nice, and I'm enjoying it. Absolutely. Bits at a time. It's I don't expect anyone to take a day off work. Well, maybe you should take a day off work tomorrow and watch all More Cheese's video. No, I don't expect that most people are going to be able to take 7 hours off from work and watch a 7-hour long video, but it is definitely worth watching the full 7 hours. An hour here, an hour there, a bit here, a bit there. And that is how the elephant is eaten, one piece at a time. So looking forward to, there's a couple more. I think there's a couple more people who did shoot video who haven't yet gotten it out there. Looking to see a little more out there. I just did the live thing, and the live thing ends up becoming its own recorded video, because YouTube Live does that, and because Twitter Live does that, and it makes it so that it's easy. And I'm lazy. I'm lazy to the point where I'm not going to spend the amount of effort that she's put in. And again, it's incredible work to go and edit and cut pieces out here and go and make sure the audio is good there, and try to improve the audio over here, boost the audio if there's one recording that doesn't match the others. Maybe lazy is not the right term, but it's not something I had time to do right now. So I'm glad that there are people who put the extra effort in and really put a quality product out. So very, very excited to see that. Yes, the Relix stuff and the meet and greet was exciting. That way he was, again, trying to meet people and identify them by username and ask them about what they were looking at for Upland, or what their excitement was in Genesis week. And that was kind of a interesting way to come at things. I think that, I really like that we had Shacklin. I see that Shacklin had some pictures that she was posting of the people she had met, and she was taking pictures of their name tags. So it was like, here's a face, here's a name. Here's a face, here's a name. And I loved it. It was something that I definitely didn't do. I didn't see a lot of other people doing. And it's a simple way of addressing it. It's like a very small part of the story, but it's a small part of the story that has a role or is significant. And maybe alongside, player profiles, maybe alongside interviews, it continues to make sense. It continues to have value, and it's kind of its own type of collage. If you have a bunch of players and their names, and we can just say, I was at Genesis week. Here is a picture of me. That's kind of fun. And one thing that I am looking forward to, again, been talking about Genesis week for a week here, and I think we got to stop. But one other thing that I think is exciting is getting back on the other side of it. We are seeing these little micro interviews with Uplanders, and something I would have loved to do more of, and I didn't. But these micro interviews with Uplanders, so you're hearing these little pieces of the perspective of individual Uplanders, what they're doing in the game, who they are as players, and I love seeing that being shared, and I love seeing that little bit of discovery along the way. Looking forward to seeing some more, and again, having the opportunity to do some more interviews here with some team members and some players here in the near future. and some of that coming out of Genesis Week, having those conversations, and oh, it's definitely worth getting together to do this further interview and have more information. But it's all being done outside of Genesis Week, so that's all stuff still to come. So we'll hopefully have some decent content here in June and July about Upland and some of those things coming from the stuff that happened in 2023 to 2024, and some of that stuff coming from the fact that, or lots of things that haven't yet happened yet, things that will be, excuse me, things that will be happening in the not so distant future, and looking forward to all of those things. And I do want to go and talk about, when we look at Bermuda, is the fact that what has already happened, what is happening, and what is yet to come. I think is kind of a way of looking at this. I think that we had a little bit of pre-conversation before the show about this idea about what is the effect that is driving people to sell below mint in UPX in Bermuda. And because this has happened in some areas, apparently more than it should, as far as I'm concerned. But again, people trying to right size what they own and trying to sell out when they feel like they've bought something that they don't want to hold anymore. Definitely get it. But when you buy less than a week ago and you're turning around now and reselling that property for less than you paid for it in OPEX, again, we're not talking about USD, in OPEX, I think that's still short-sighted. We did have the mint of Bermuda going through. We do know that we don't even have collections revealed yet, so we don't know if you hit collection or not. But we did have one thing not long after the minting, or at the end of the day on Friday, and that is the announcement of Paris, that Paris is coming. And I think that's enough, and it's been in the past, and it will continue to be. Jimmy Jester says he's retired, so he's got time to watch some more cheese video. Yeah, well, I'm going to find the time. I had a long day today. I watched some last night, went to bed. I got up this morning, went right to work, came home. I'll be honest, I took a nap because I haven't adjusted and caught up from Genesis Week yet. And yes, I've got plenty more of Cheese's videos still to watch. But yeah, with these properties here in Bermuda, very much so. An interesting thing to see the people selling these below mint, because again, it's been out for less than a week. We haven't had a collection reveal yet, and Paris or not, it's kind of turning on yourself and taking a little loss along the way. Oh my gosh, look at this! What neighborhood we're in? We're in Warwick. Oh my gosh, you can get a property under 25,000 UPX and mint it. Well, that's a great deal. But if people are selling below mint, that's a great deal as well. So I did see on some of the tools on Upland and on UPX Land that the mint floor, or not mint floor, sorry, the secondary floor at markup, it did creep below, and in UPX below 100%. So there's people who bought properties, saw Paris, or thought about things and said, I prefer not to have this property. They're trying to sell it out before the collection reveal, because once there's a collection reveal, people are going to move towards collections, and they may not have the same speculation for non-collection properties, or properties that do not hit collection. So it is something that we continue to see people jostle on. When we talk about the collection reveal tomorrow, the easy story is that it is like a second mint. It's like a second mint in many ways, because it is a rush to buy and mint certain properties. If something hits collection, people are going to try to mint those properties that are left in that collection. If something hits collection and there's people who left a bunch of properties at floor, and they're just sitting there, and they're at city floor, go and mint those properties up and try to get those at the lowest possible price they can. And if you're the one who left them there, then you're the one who's going to be crying in the corner, because it was your potential profit that you flushed away. So it is that time. It is late enough on the day before a collection reveal that you should be popping your property off the market. If you have anything that you have listed in Bermuda, it's probably not a bad idea to remove it from the market, so that you don't get surprised tomorrow. You don't lose a property. You don't lose out on an opportunity to potentially take a profit here long term. And again, we get surprised about what hits rare. We get surprised about what hits exclusive. We get surprised sometimes about what hits ultra rare. And the only way you can prevent yourself from being surprised or prevent yourself from being in that position of loss is to not have those properties up for sale. That's my pitch. Good to see you, JT. Yeah, and what the other side of being ready for tomorrow is obviously it is a fast paced thing. So if you want to be there on time, 9 p.m., 9 p.m., 9 a.m. PT. Be there again in the morning, 9 a.m. PT. If you want to participate, that is something that it is a good idea if you're going to be trying to mint, just like any other minting. Have your two-party authentication all set up and ready to go right before you get started. Otherwise, be ready with minimizing the run on your computer or minimize the slowdown on your computer. Close down windows, go and do things like remove 3D objects, remove other block explorers so you're ready. You're not going to have that slow down and be ready. Run, race, mint if you can tomorrow. And again, there already is the factor of people questioning, asking, looking, what is the date? When are we to expect the city of Paris? Do we expect it to be the next city? I definitely would expect it to be. Paris is coming was the reveal at the end of Genesis week this year, last Friday. That was the big reveal. We do know that the Olympics start. Let's take a look at the actual Olympic start date. Olympics start at the end of July always. This year, 2024, the start. We know they're just finished up trials right now. Perhaps the start is July the 26th. It ends on Sunday the 11th, and of course the Paralympics start. I think the 12th, or right after the end of the Olympics. The Paralympics. I'm gonna put this out there. I love if Upland does the Olympics. I love Upland to do something for the Paralympics. Paralympics are celebrating the athletic prowess and capabilities of many people who are incredible athletes, but otherwise have some type of physical disability. This is something that, again, I've seen in many, many cases. Stories of people who otherwise may have had the capabilities of being, or may have otherwise been destined to be Olympic athletes, have some type of accident or other disability. We have also seen people who have those disabilities who otherwise train and compete and grow in skill and get to the point where they're the top of the top in an athletic pursuit. And I think that it is like a double whammy. We have an Olympics and then we have a Paralympics, one after the other. Upland, if you're going to celebrate one, celebrate them both. That is my pitch. That is my question. You get a double whammy, and to be honest with you, you make me happy twice, and maybe make me happier on the backside because again, it shows a little bit of thought and planning there, Upland, if you can capitalize. People are buying for USD and selling for under mint in UPX. It's hurting the people that mint and can't make a profit. Okay. Yeah, Jimmy, I have seen that as well. Is if people are trying to get UPX, they're trying to stack their UPX for Paris. This is a strategy. You go buy the USD, the lowest markup possible on USD. Can you buy it for 40% USD? Maybe you can in some neighborhoods. I've seen that some of them are floating higher than that, but you buy it for 40% USD. You turn around, you sell it at 95% UPX. You stack that UPX, and you're stacking that UPX because you're getting ready for Paris. You're stacking that UPX because maybe you have another project that you need UPX for. There are other neighborhoods to do this strategy in. I think that when people are trying to do this strategy and go back to the old language, this is an arbitrage. Obviously, people are trying to buy in one and switch into another, so we maximize the currency exchange. You cannot go to Upland and say, "Hey, I'm going to give you $40. I want you to give me 100,000 UPX." Not going to happen. They're going to expect $100 for 100,000 UPX, but you can spend $40 and get 100,000 UPX worth of properties if you buy the right properties in USD and then sell them. Sometimes that's going to mean selling them in UPX under mint, and like Jimmy said, that's exactly what's happened. And if that's what's happening, again, that is your opportunity to get more UPX, stack more UPX at a lower cost, and Upland can sell it and be ready for the next mint. And absolutely, Jimmy, that does depress the market. That means that people who minted in UPIX and are trying to make a moderate profit of 5 or 10 or 15%, they're not going to make that moderate profit because the floor in UPX, uh, at least for markup, is set below that. And yeah, this race out, make my small profit in my way, do my own thing. It does redefine the entire of the market. Listening to a broadcaster of no, sorry, broadcast of the year winning podcast today, the UPX podcast, they were bringing up this concept as well. This concept of, if you are going to be taking money out of the game of Upland, that's all fine and well. I mean, it is one of the goals and it is one of the outputs of the game that people enjoy. It is impressive that people can take so much money out of the game, but it is also depressing. It's depressing of the markets if people are rapidly doing so and trying to take money out, and especially if they're taking it out of the newest city, because now we're pushing things down. We're pushing the USD market down in a new city, which means other people who aren't in such a rush to take money out, they have less opportunity there. It does change the dynamic of the floor of the city, and you could have one or two people who are trying to take USD out, especially if they start with a lot of UPIX, especially if they bought a lot of properties. They could be changing or altering the market of an entire city by that quick activity that they're doing for themselves. And that is definitely a consideration. And kind of Jimmy putting that out there, absolutely, the USD to UPIX thing, it's affecting the entire market for everybody who's trying to sell their UPIX purchase into UPIX. And like I said, on the USD side, if everyone's trying to rush out and sell USD as a profit, then people who bought into the UPIX side, they're looking at the USD side and they're scratching their head because it could be driving the USD side down, which is increasing the difference between the differential between the UPIX side and the USD side, which has been an issue. And again, how do you continue to add to the issue when you have people racing down to sell the USD side to make a profit as quick as possible? And how do you control that? And we had that conversation in other instances, and Upland's not going to buy UPIX back from people. And we're not gonna. There's a couple things we're not gonna do between the two markets to help balance them. But in theory, these USD only purchase only properties, I don't know if that's going to help at all. But again, we do see that if people are in a rush to sell things out, it's going to have more of an effect on the market than if everybody or more people are incentivized to hold instead of trying to rush and take profit at any given moment. And I think that's a reality for the future of Upland, is things have to be stable. Things, people can't be rushing one way or the other. When that fast movement, when that ripple, when that downhill effect is going on, it's kind of a runaway effect. And you could see the erosion of value or the increasing of the distance between UPIX and the USD market. You can see those expand if they're in a runaway market, in a runaway zone. Cutie Patooties, the brothers. What are we talking about? Relix and Ustag? Maybe? Yes. Okay. Maybe. Yeah, I would think so, Cheese, if that's what you commented on, Ustag and Relix. Absolutely. I think that was an interesting thing at Genesis Week this year, that brothers coming to Genesis Week for the first time, one bringing in the other, both having a name for themselves in the game of Upland. And it's a cool story to say, yeah, my brother brought me in the game. And you're like, wow, we know who you are. You have some fun, some grounding. Oh my gosh, you are a moderator, and it all came from somewhere. And here's the person who brought you in. So very cool to see some of those stories unfold in Genesis Week. What else do I want to look at for Bermuda? Well, let's look at this one more time. Here's some offshore properties are very, very close to the shore here. This is in Warwick. Did you see that? Did you see what I saw? Oh my God, look at that. Mintable. Oh my God, there's more mintable. Keep in mind two things. Number one, the UPX price, the gross UPX price, not cheap on these properties. Second thing I'm seeing on these is the UPX per UP2 on these is relatively significant here in Pembroke. But what I do also look at, what I do also think is interesting on these, 2,000. Wow, look at that, 2,000 UPX per UP2 in Pembroke, which means you're not going to get sorry, not Pembroke, in Warwick, you're not going to get a lot of property for the price. But if you do get a property, you're going to get a lot of price for the property. You're getting a lot of dividends for the property that you purchase. So that's kind of fun. And hey, if Warwick hits collection, it's going to go from being 2,000 UPX per UP2 to woo, potentially, depending on what collection it hits. Again, there are some speculations. There's some decent speculations as far as this area versus that area. Warwick's not necessarily high on the list, but could you imagine? Could you imagine if we had to see that all the unminted properties in Warwick get expanded or have their values expanded by a coefficient for hitting collection? I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen, but definitely it is a reality that could. Yeah. Oh my gosh, King Cody. I heard he smells like pig. Yes, that was wonderful. That was reality, King Cody, is when you have some of the world's best suckling pig and you come in a room, it just clings to you. It stays with you. It is part of who you are, and it's going to continue to be there with you. And of course, oh, my foot, it itches, it itches, it itches, it itches. But of course, that's going to stick with you. So I'm going to recommend everybody go and do what you're going to do, live your life. But if you're going to live your life, really live it and get yourself a suckling pig. There you go. There's my endorsement of suckling pig and King Cody. I hope you are able to get one here real shortly. Otherwise, for tomorrow, for today, all I can look at is we got another day where there's no big announcements to the game of Upland. We always have this hangover from Genesis Week where we don't have any major announcements. We have a few major announcements that are coming that aren't here yet. I say they're coming because they were kind of suggested that they'll be coming by the end of the quarter 2024, second quarter. We are coming to the end of quarter 2 2024. Go figure. Technically speaking, we are partway through Genesis season, but the end of quarter 2 happens in the middle of Genesis season, so keep your eyes out for the end of June 2024. Things that we've been talking about for continual process improvement are kind of on that list of are going to happen by the end of this month. And one of those was racing. So we've talked about racing in and out. If you've gone to Genesis Week, you would have seen the boost, that was the beta version of the boost, and that was functional. That was all set to go. That has not launched in the game of Upland yet for the racing boost, but because of quarterly input and the idea of trying to get certain things done by the end of the quarter, it looks very, very possible that this is one of the projects that will be coming out by the end of the month, this month for June. So we have a couple weeks left, so we'll see that as a very strong possibility. Again, the city of Paris, whether that happens the end of June, I don't think so, or the first couple weeks of July, which I think is much more likely. So that's something to watch out for and to keep in mind. I think that Upland has the opportunity to start burying us with stuff because, we have airplanes coming in at some point. That's going to be impressive. Again, it's going to be limited to who's going to get in and at what time. We do have some, decent excitement here, could have some excitement around totems. We are literally a year on these totems. I mean, the part of the theme of Genesis Week 2023 was totems. It was very exciting. They were coming. We learned about them over the summer. In the fall, we had the actual sale and the minting of them. After we had the sale and the minting, then we actually had our first, it took a long time to get there. We had our first cycle of our totems, and it was exciting. And that was in June. And 6 months later, we don't have our second cycle yet. So keep your eyes out on that. We already had a sale for totem potions to improve our totems and to potentially augment and modify our totems. So we're going to have a better version of our totem during the next totem cycle. That was exciting, I guess, for some people. For me, it was more of a stay out of that market because it was cheaper. It was cheaper for me to go back in the market and buy another totem than it was for me to spend all that time, effort, and UPX to buy potions, to buy totem potions in order to slightly improve just one of my totems. But that is something I'm going to watch out for for the totem cycle or next totem cycle, or cycle number 2 here into late June, July, more than likely July at this point. But for tonight, thank you so much for being here. I want more news tomorrow. We're going to tie the collections. Yeah. At least it's nice to be able to go over the collections after they hit. Maybe have a little bit of exposition. Why did this collection hit? What's the reasoning behind this? What's the reality? So we'll at least have that tomorrow. If nothing else, if no more surprises. So for tonight, thank you so much for being here. Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT. We do have the cafe. We do have this time together. Before I head out, keep your eye out. So I mentioned this yesterday about the in-game social media, the in-game updates and feed. But what's interesting there is every single one of us, go figure, we didn't have much of a choice. We had this interesting guy who we're following. Who's the first? Wow, I thought I was going to find it. Who's the first person you're following? The first person you're following is going to be Miles B. Chain. So Miles B. Chain is a good person to keep your eyes on. I've seen a few things with Miles B. Chain that have been dropping in here in stories and little pieces and quips, and they're kind of interesting. We see these little quips from Miles B. Chain, but it's definitely something that Upland likes to do. Upland likes to have Easter eggs. Upland likes to drop hints along the way. And if you're paying attention, if you're watching, you may know what's about to happen next. So I'm going to put that little piece out there. Not telling you I saw anything that definitely tells me something's coming next, but go take a look. Go take a look at what Miles B. Chain happens to be saying in the game of Upland, and maybe you'll know the little hints that Upland's trying to drop us, the breadcrumbs along the way. Thank you so much for being here. Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT. If you're in the Upland Cafe, feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.